That's new wine that I'm trying from a local winery here in Florida. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's all right. So hi, my name is Kat. This is my YouTube channel where I don't know what I'm doing and just sort of figure it out as I go. Whatever. So today, first things first, look at this really cute shirt that I bought. Nah, isn't it cute? It's from Box Lunch. So I turned 31 in a few weeks. Yay, happy birthday to me. And my dad sent me money, so I went shopping. Happy birthday to me. And I got this shirt, and I got another one, and I got some bath bombs from Lush, and I got Haunted Mansion leggings and some movies, and I treated myself to a fancy dinner because I'm an adult, and that's pretty much what you do. So yeah, isn't it cute? It's really great. I also dyed my hair. It was supposed to be a dark green color, and instead, well, I mean, you can sort of see it's sort of tinted green in some places, but mostly it's just brown, whatever. It's fine. It's not my natural blonde, so I'm good. BT dubs, I'm a natural blonde. Yeah, I haven't, there have been very few times since I was like 12 that I've been my natural hair color. One of those times was in college, like my freshman year of college, and then I started dyeing my hair again. So, ta-da! Today though, I want to begin my Wheel of Time series. Now this book series will not be the only thing that I make videos on over the coming weeks. I have one that I've been promising for months now, which is a trip to the Renaissance Festival here, or Ren Fair actually. It's the Lady of the Lakes Ren Fair. And we went last year, so it's actually a video from last year, not this year. And this year's fair is in a couple of weeks as well. So I figured I might as well get around to posting it, seeing as it's just been lounging in my computer for a year. Oops. But yeah, there's a couple of vlogs coming up. There's probably going to be a video of my friend and I going to Universal Studios, so that will be entertaining. You'll actually, if you want to see our antics at Universal, you'd be better off following my Instagram, because you'll get a whole picture instead of just like little snippets, because I post a lot to Instagram stories when we're at the parks. It happens. But anyway, this will not be the only thing I'm talking about over the next couple of weeks. So if you're not interested in it, I hope to have something else you're interested in. If not, oh well. I don't know. See, leave me a comment to tell me what you want to see. I don't know. But so today is the Eye of the World, Robert Jordan. And I know that I said I was going to talk about like the first 10 chapters. And then I got to thinking about the prologue. So the prologue is only, here's my pages that are falling out. The prologue is actually like one, two, three. It's like 3 pages front and back, so 6 pages. But there's a lot that happens in it. And actually, I made notes. Look at me being all planny and stuff. So I do have a confession to make. I tend to skip the prologue during rereads because I've read it so many times. But because I said I would start from the very beginning, and the prologue is technically the very beginning, I'm not counting the prequel book, New Spring. We're not talking about that yet. I've read it a couple of times, but this time I thought, okay, we'll stop skipping it and just go from the beginning. So I'm bypassing Luce Theron Telemon's crazy and going right past that, because I think everyone kind of focuses on his crazy, and really that's the point of the prologue, is to focus on him. But this time I'm not focusing on him. And where are my eyebrows? What? This is what I get for not doing my makeup. But I'm lazy, you know, some days I just don't feel like doing my makeup and have to deal with being eyebrowless on camera, whatever. Anyway, I've had a couple of days off from work, so I haven't taken my Adderall at all, and I'm drinking wine. So, we'll see how this goes. Who knows? That's better. Anyway, so I will not be focusing on Lews Therin in this video. I instead will be focusing on Ellen. No, Ellen is not. No. How funny would that be though if Ellen DeGeneres, oh my god, that would be hilarious. Oh my god. Anyway, sorry. Elan Morin Tedronai. I don't know. I haven't listened to the books as an audiobook, so sometimes my pronunciation might not be the correct pronunciation, but it's whatever's in my head. So, anyway, let's talk about this dramatic AF. He's such a drama queen. Oh my goodness. So he arrives on the scene as Lews Therin is like walking through the rubble of his life. Literally, like his wife and children and all their friends and family, and like his childhood friends are all dead around him, and his castle, his palace is like bubbling and boiling and just rubble. But he shows up and Lews Therin is like, hey, who are you? There's a guest. Cool. Ileana! And he's like, well, who are you? And Elan says, once I was called Elan Morin Tedronai, but now, and like, I gotta tell you, after reading that, sometimes I think of that scene in the movie Anastasia, where they're doing the auditions to find Anastasia, and that lady walks out in the fur coat and says, Grandmama, it is I, Anastasia. Yeah. Except instead it's like, Lews Therin, it is I, Elan Morin. I'm a terrible person. But yeah, he's this dramatic AF dude who shows up, and he was the first Aes Sedai to turn from light to shadow. And I'm getting ahead of myself, because technically you're not supposed to know that yet, because this is the prologue. So all you know is that it's one dramatic dude like being crazy, and another dramatic dude showing up and being like, hello, 'tis I am here to see your pain and drink it in. So on first reaction, if you haven't figured it out, Ellen, his name is Elan. I'm really sorry. That's gonna, anyway, betrayer of hope. He seems to me in the first few pages to be jealous of the power that Lews Therin carries. In later books, again, you're not supposed to know this because it's the prologue, but in later books it comes out that he's basically has the same level of power as Lews Therin, like he's barely under him. So it's kind of like Lews Therin got all the glory for everything, and Elan was just a philosopher instead of being like this all-powerful king. And it's kind of like in parts of this. So he says, like he's taunting him. He says, look at you. Once you stood first among the servants. Once you wore the ring of Tamerlane and sat in the high seat. Once you summoned the 9 rods of dominion. Now look at you, a pitiful, shattered wretch. But it is not enough. You humbled me in the hall of servants. You defeated me at the gates of Paran-Dissen. But I am the greater now. I will not let you die without knowing that. When you die, your last thought will be the full knowledge of your defeat, of how complete and utter it is. I am the greater now. That one sentence. He's jealous. He's jealous of all the power and prestige and love that Lews Therin has, because he has a wife that loves him dearly. He has, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the books, he has the love of Lanfear. He's got all these people that love him, and then here's Alon in the background being a philosopher and debating light and shadow and all that good junk. So basically this whole taunt is just I'm finally better than you because now you've gone crazy and you've killed everyone, and that finally makes me better than you. But I mean, is he really? So far, the only thing that we really know about him is that Lews Therin spanked him, basically. He defeated him in battle at the gates of the greatest city of the Fourth Age, and it said he humbled him in the Hall of Servants, which could mean anything from like Lews Therin standing up and like slapping him with a glove and saying, I challenge you, and then like kicking his ass or butt, excuse me. Kicking his rear end, and to a debate about the shadow and the light, and him being trounced in debate, I guess would be the what I'm trying to say. Who knows? But he's so annoyed at this moment that he can't savor his victory over Lews Therin, this supposed victory. I mean, kind of it is a victory. It sucks. It's a victory. And I keep looking down because my notes are right here because I'm trying to stay on topic. But, yeah. He heals Lews Therin enough that the dragon has enough coherency to realize that he's killed everyone that ever had anything to do with him. He killed his wife, he killed his children, he killed his servants, he killed his family, he killed people that have known him his entire life, all 400 years of his life. Lews Therin Telamon was 400 years old when he died. Imagine that. What would you do if you lived for 400 years? Knowing me, it'd just be an endless run of like Netflix and booze and Doritos. But here is where reread comes into play, okay? He's so annoyed that he can't savor this victory over Lews Therin because Lews Therin's mind is not there. It's not there. He's lost a couple of his crayons out of the crayon box. His elevator does not go all the way to the top. So he's annoyed by this, that this has happened. He's so far gone and so touched by the shadow that he doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know that he's been defeated. So then Alon, Morin, Tedranai does something that no other Forsaken can do. Every single one of them has said it's impossible, has claimed over and over again throughout the entire series that it's completely impossible. He heals the mind of someone who has been altered by the taint. He also says, what is it? But I fear Shaitan's healing is different from the sort you know. Be healed, Lews Therin. He extended his hands and the light dimmed as if a shadow had been laid across the sun. Basically, he pulls directly from the true source, not the one power, the true source. He pulls from Shaitan directly. Power. But this means that Shaitan gave him permission to do this, because it is only with Shaitan's approval that you can even use this power. You have to have like bound yourself so tightly to him But he's done this. He's altered himself and bound himself so tightly to Shaitan so that he can use this power to maximize the pain that Lews Therin is in. Basically, he brings him out of the crazy just enough to realize what he's done. And when he does, that's when he goes crazy. It's after this happens, it's after he has this moment of coherency that Lews Therin Telamon, Lord of the Morning, Prince of the Dawn, the Promised One, Champion of Light, Dragon, and Kinslayer, creates Dragon Mount by committing suicide. That's basically what he does. In a final act of contrition, he hopes that by sacrificing himself, it will bring him back to the light. And honestly, I don't see how he wouldn't still be considered part of the light. It's not his fault. I mean, it's a little bit his fault that he went crazy, but that's a whole nother video and a whole nother discussion, because that involves talking about the 100 Companions and talking about the broken seals of Shayol Ghul and talking about the politics between the brothers and sisters of Aes Sedai, which is what they were before the breaking of the world, before only women were allowed to be Aes Sedai. So that's a whole other thing. So I mean, a little bit is his fault that he went crazy, but it's not completely his fault that he's now insane and has killed everyone. It's the Shadow, it's the Dark One's fault. Let's talk about this for a second. So, the way that it's described in the book, it sounds almost exactly like Balefire. It says, the air turned to fire, the fire turned to light liquefied. The bolt that struck from the heavens would have seared and blinded any eye that glimpsed it, even for an instant. From the heavens it came, blazed through Lews Therin Telamon, bored into the bowels of the earth. Stone turned to vapor at its touch. The earth thrashed and quivered like a living thing. Only a heartbeat did the shining bar exist, connecting ground and sky. But even after it vanished, the earth yet heaved like the sea in a storm. Wind howled in, snapping trees like twigs, shrieking and blowing as if to aid the growing mountain ever skyward. It sounds like Balefire. Balefire came from the heavens, shot Lews Therin Telamon, shot Lews Therin, and bored into the ground. But because it bored so far into the ground that it caused a volcano to erupt through the hole that it bored in. So it created this mountain. So I don't think the mountain was actually meant to be like there. It was, the whole purpose was to punch Lews Therin back into the pattern. That's what I think it is. It's like it says that he pulls from the true power and the one power. So he pulls so much true power until he feels like his skin is starting to, his skin is starting to boil or something. And then he pulls so much of the one power that it feels like he's gonna explode. And in that moment, I think that what happens is he pulls so much that he draws the eye of the Creator. And the Creator hits him with balefire from the heavens and punches him back into the pattern. Just like shoves him back into it. So when wielders, like the Aes Sedai, wield balefire, what it does is it burns that person out of their thread, out of the pattern. It's why no one can remember that person or anything that happened in the seconds leading up to balefire. It's why it was banned during the War of the Shadow. It's because it almost brought down both sides. So in a later book, this is where the reread comes in. I don't really know the term you'd use, but he balefires the shit out of a castle, and it's described almost exactly as what happens to create Dragon Mount. Basically, the Creator just shoved Lews Therin back into the pattern until he could be threaded out again. But after this, Alon stares at Dragon Mount and he says, "It will not be done. until the end of time. It's important to note that Alon is out there waiting at this time. So this is after, I have bullet points. So this is after the 100 companions sealed the bore, but in doing so allowed Shaitan to touch and taint Sayadin. And the reason that is only Sayadin and not Saidar as well, which means male and female, is because the 100 companions were only men. It was only male wielders. And that's, again, a whole nother video to go into about why it was only men there and not the women. But anyways, this is after the 100 companions have sealed the bore of the Dark One's prison, and the taint has happened. Immediately, most of them went crazy. That's why this happened. But this means Alon is not sealed into the bore with the other, or not the bore, whatever. He's in. So he's not really immortal, is what I'm getting from this. The two toward the end of the book that appear were unlike the others who were frozen in time when they were sealed in. They were sealed in just close enough that time touched them, but they couldn't really do anything. So they're just kind of there, which is why they have the appearance they do of like elderly men, beyond elderly men, ancient men, who are like just kind of hobbling forward. I don't know. Even with notes, I'm a rambling mess. But anyway, so he's not really immortal. He's being spun out by the pattern over and over and over again. But unlike those who have been reborn, he's been touched by Shaitan. So he knows his thread. He knows who he is. He knows his past lives. In most reincarnations, he knows his past lives, which is something that others who have been spun out by the pattern, again, don't know. It's like with, I really want to talk about the Archer and her man, but also prologue only. So, but that is, for those who have read the series and are not new to it, that is an instance where she knows that she's part of the pattern when she's in Dream World, but when she's spun out of the pattern, she doesn't know it's her until she returns to the pattern. So that's something else. Anyway, so he's being spun out over and over and over again until the dragon is reborn. And that is some dedication, not only to the shadow, but to holding on to his jealousy and his hate of Luce, Theron, Telamon. In conclusion, Alon, Morin, Tadranai, renamed Ishmael, Betrayer of Hope, is a salty bitch. There, I said it. He's a jealous, salty bitch. He's so dramatic. And this whole prologue, in my opinion, just reaffirms that for me. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just I was reading it and I was like, wow, he's kind of salty. No wonder that him and Luce Theron are friends, because they're both dramatic. Because before the breaking, before the shadow began to touch the world again, they were friends. It's kind of sad, really. But I think it's a really cool parallel that they were friends before the shadow happened, and before jealousy got in the way, and before the breaking happened. And then in later books, again, I suck at this whole stick to pretending like I haven't read the rest of the series. Later, when he is reborn and the Dark One sends him back out into the world, he and Rand, they're not really friends, but they kind of reach an understanding at times where they reach a stalemate in some spots. They reach kind of this understanding in the later books that the time hasn't come yet for them to have their final battle. And there's this really powerful scene, at least in my opinion it's powerful, where they're both just like, we're tired. Let's just sit here for a minute and stare at one another and not think about all the pressures that are out there, all of the things that are happening. Let's just sit here in each other's company because we're the only two that really understand what's happening right now. I don't know, it's interesting to me. I mean, yeah, I'm joking. I'm saying that he's a salty bitch and he's dramatic, but at least Theron is too, and later Rand is too. Like, they're super dramatic. I think it's an interesting setup. It's a very powerful prologue. It's a very it definitely sets up the rest of the series to make you wonder what's going on, how is this going to come back to this moment. So yeah. I know this was kind of not what I said I was gonna do. But I promise that now that we're past the prologue, hopefully I will not be doing a chapter by chapter discussion on the series. Instead, I'm hoping it will definitely be the like chapters 1 through 10, like I said it would be. If I have the urge to do chapter by chapter, what I'll probably do is record everything and then just slice it. Just cut it down. Let's get started on the rest of the series. If you want to tag along, that's cool. Like I said, I will definitely be uploading videos of other things, so you don't actually have to like be stuck with just watching these videos if Wheel of Time is not your thing. But quick reminder, if you would like to follow along in the coming weeks, this is the book. It is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the old cover. I'm really jealous of all the new covers. I've stated that in a previous video. But if you don't want to buy the series, check out your local library. Very huge fan of using the libraries, especially if you have a Nook or a Kindle or the Nook or Kindle app. You can also download something called Overdrive, so that if you're like me and don't like to deal with people occasionally, you can use your library card to go through Libby, which is a offshoot of Overdrive, and borrow ebooks from that, or even audiobooks from it if you want to listen rather than actually read the book. That's an option. But yeah, hang out with me, see what's going on. So until next time, guys.